Hey there, Sam Visnick here, Release Muscle Therapy, and today we're going to be reviewing this nice little TENS and EMS unit from AVCOO, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's have a look inside here. I've already opened the box, obviously I have some of the components out. So as we open that guy up, we got a lot of stuff in here to kind of sift through. First and foremost, to be able to take out the unit itself here, and that's often, it's going to be contained in that guy there. We'll get an instruction manual. We get a nice little pouch to be able to keep our device safe and protected. And we've got a couple of additional things in here. We've got all of our pads, which we have an assortment of. We have our primary lead wires for the A and the B channel. And we have our USB-based charger, okay, which I love because I hate having to plug everything into the wall constantly. Usually at my desk, it's very easy to put in that USB charger. So as we kind of go through here, we've got, like I said, a number of different pieces. In particular, let's just go through the pads real quick. These are pretty much standard pads. There are two different types of pads. You'll see that these ones right here that have that little clip head into it like that. And some other types have that almost like a lead wire that plugs in. I do find that to be a little inconvenient. I wish they were all standardized to be about the same, and that way it's easy to buy replacement pads, but that's how it goes. All right, so these guys, different types of sizes for different areas of the body. Okay, we've got a couple of those standard size ones. We've got these that have the little, looks like a handprint in there, and then we have real small ones that can be used for small application areas. So some of the key pieces out of this, if you've never used a TENS and EMS unit, is that TENS and EMS is slightly different, the electronic muscle stimulation versus TENS. Predominantly, I find that most people like using the TENS-based function because TENS is oftentimes used for distraction and pain relief. So with this device, again, one of the major benefits here is it does have two channels. That means that we can have separate things going on. For example, you could be treating the back of the left side of the low back and the right simultaneously, and because they're on separate channels, you can have a little bit more intensity on one side if you want versus the other. It's easy to manipulate that, or you could be treating two completely different body parts. Intensity might need to be really low on the right side channel and pretty high on the left. So it allows you to manipulate that. So what we do is we essentially plug these guys in, okay? And then we clip these guys on just like that. Now, of course, the instructions will talk about all of this individual stuff, but both channels or both pads need to be placed in order for that to work. We turn this thing on, pretty simple operation, and we have a lot of stuff. Not sure if you can fully see that on the camera, but there are a lot of settings in here that you can use. So what we do is, for the most part, is set the mode. There are certain types of modes in here, and the instruction manual talks about that, which is kind of nice. People just have different preferences on how things feel. It's got, for example, acupuncture, cupping, scraping. Doesn't make too much of a difference, honestly, but there are some subtle variations in it. But the way that the system progresses is that there is not a switch for TENS or EMS or massage. You just have to cycle through the modes to get to that. So I do find that a little bit inconvenient. I would like to just switch right ahead rather than having to push the button a whole ton of times to get through to the function that I want, but not that big of a deal. So with that, we cycle through, but just moving through all of the modes, and then it'll highlight itself at the top. It tells you whether or not it's TENS, EMS, or massage. So again, as I go through this a few times, it'll switch up when I get to the EMS mode, which there it is right there. And then at the very end is the massage. So it has a guy or a therapist giving somebody a massage so you know which mode you're generally on. So once we set that up, then what we do is we select the time. Now here's a key thing on this. One of my annoyances is that some of these devices have limited time. Generally speaking, I think the recommendations are to use a TENS unit for 20 minutes or something like that. But again, you have to talk to your healthcare provider about that, but I've used much longer times myself, especially when we're talking about TENS, which is very low intensity. I've left them on for a long time. So I find it annoying to keep having to increase the time. So as much time as I can get, the better. So if we look at this setting, this thing will go up to 90 minutes, which is pretty awesome, okay? So that way I don't have to check on this every 20 minutes or every even 45 minutes or 50 minutes. I get an extra 40 minutes out of it. I really wish there was a setting where you can go on for hours if you want to, but I'm sure there's probably safety reasons why they don't want to do that, etc. So the time is a big benefit of not having to check in on this. And then once you select the intensity, which is going to be that button right there going up or down, then you can lock it in. The lock is a good function because if you tend to do something like I do where you stick the pads on, you wrap up the cable and you stick it in your pocket, you don't want to keep having something bump into it, which is going to screw with the settings and end up turning the machine off, and then you got to go through the whole setup again. So the lock function is pretty helpful on this. So once you get that all set up and then you get it turned on, you just let it do its magic. Now the other benefit is out of this is that as you're cycling through this, let's say you have the pads actually on the tissue, if you were to change the mode, some of the modes you don't want to get abruptly intensified with a technique that's a little different from the setting you're on, so that can be shocking. If you move the mode to something else, the intensity setting drops all the way down to the level 1 again. So again, that stops you from getting that shock interruption of the mode abruptly changing. So that is a good thing. Sometimes people find that a little annoying, but you don't want to have that intensity set at a certain level as you're cycling through modes, and that is just as a precaution. So that's the benefit. So I've had a number of these little units, and I'm getting happy about the ease of use over time. I do recommend these to clients for home use, but setting proper expectations. An EMS or a TENS unit is not a miracle worker, but it certainly can interrupt pain messages going to the brain and make you feel more comfortable. So this is a nice little unit. It's pretty good for the quality and for the price that they're offering it at. And I give it a pretty good rating. I like it a lot. Okay, so it's got a lot of bonuses to it. So if you like this product, I always include a link below the video, so be sure to check that out. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for future updates. And of course, make sure you comment below with any questions you might have. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.